Hey all, Heretic here. Today in the Battlegrounds, we're talking Season 8 Undead. We're talking about everything that's leaving, changing, returning, new, and trinkets. Let's jump right in to all the changes. We're going to be starting with the minions that are leaving. Hopefully, you're okay with seeing some of these go. Some you might be sad, but I'll let you judge that. We're starting with Hateful Hag leaving. I like Hateful Hag. Why? It's targeted reborn. You have it swing, and then whatever next to it is gonna get reborn is pretty good. The issue with it really was that you could reborn anything, like say, hey, a Leroy, and just really get some good scam value out of it. It probably wasn't quite what they were hoping for when they made it, but it's certainly what we ended up using it for in a lot of cases. It was a very useful card, and it turns out its time is done, so no more use out of it now. Nightbane is out of here also, and that it really should surprise nobody. No matter what build you're using, you see Nightbane a lot on boards, and it's too consistently there. And the number of times I've watched Kel'Thuzad throw the Nightbane attack all over the board, it's just too high now. It's time we see something different. We'll let Nightbane rest, maybe come back in a couple other metas from now, but for now, let's let him go. Hungering Abomination, also gone. And let's face it, Hungering A-Bomb is very situational. If you get it really early as a triple and you have the right kind of minions, it can scale really good, carry you into a top 2, top 3 position, but it's still almost never going to win you a game because it seems like you would never triple this thing. And it just doesn't scale overall fast enough typically. Yeah, I know there are games where it has certainly won me the game and I've gotten first place with it, but I feel like it's not enough. I did like the theme of this card. It just seemed to come a little too late. And I think they put it at tier 4 and it tripled into it. It would come too early. For now, it's moving on. Sister Death Whisper leaving again. And I must say, I typically don't care. It's kind of a meh card. The buff it gives, meh. Just everything about it. Not quite enough to care. Don't mind this leaving at all. Now it's time we move over to the returning changing cards. And speaking of cards I never cared much about, because I really tried to make this thing work back in the day, it's back. It's even lower tier, and my interest is still pretty damn low. And that is tier 3, 5/1 Undead, Xylo-bones. After you summon a minion in combat, gain +2 health permanently. In theory, this card would be useful. It never really could work consistently for me. I'm sure there's moments where it does and boards where it has, but I feel like they're the minority and I just don't care. So I am not excited, at least initially, to see this back at all. Let's jump into the new Undead. Maybe inspiration and excitement will live here. This is what we need, right? Okay. Tier 2, 5/1 Undead, Museum Mummy, Battle Cry, summon a 1/1 skeleton. I don't feel excited about this card in any way, shape, or form. Maybe I'm missing something here, but this is lackluster at best. This feels like tier 1 minion. I know it's got 5 attack. I know it gives you an extra 1/1, but Bonehead consistently would beat this. That feels weird. Now I know you shouldn't always have where your tier 1 minion will always lose to your tier 2 minion, but I almost rather just have a second Bonehead than one Museum Mummy. Maybe there's a weird use I'm not thinking of, but initially at least. Jumping up to tier 4, we have the 3/1 Undead Mech Prosthetic Hand. Magnetic Reborn can magnetize to mechs or undead. Not bad. It's a magnetized minion, so you can put it on anything. So whatever you need to have a little more attack, it's going to give it reborn. There are a lot of good use cases for this card because of that reborn mechanic and the magnetic ability. I really like this. I think this is going to be a mainstay in a lot of Undead boards, although you'll never see it. It's always going to have its presence known. Now we've got the tier 4, 4/4 Undead, Cadaver Caretaker, Death Rattle, summon 4 1/1 skeletons. There are definitely use case scenarios for this. Have you buffed up your attack a lot in the late game? Well, that's a lot of tokens if you have room for them. 4 skeletons is a lot. So I'm kind of interested in this card. Potentially has a late game piece. In the mid game, it's still 4/1/1 tokens. And if you've buffed your attack at all, still good. this has potential, which feels weird, but it really does have potential. Even though it's just 4/1/1s initially, we're talking about summoning, taking into account the amount of the ability to buff attack with undead. This could be very good. Now we've got tier 4, 2/6 undead, Thundering Abomination. Not hungering this time, thundering. Whenever you summon a minion in combat, give it +2/+2. If there's no space, gain +2/+2 permanently. So you're gonna summon minions in combat, it's gonna buff them. And then if there's no room for those minions that are summoned, it's gonna get buffed itself. Interesting. I think I like this. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to not have room, so I really want to have a Titan Rivendare online when I have this, so I have no room and I'm getting maximum value. I mean, this is the one time where you're happy when your Macaw goes first. It swings, there's no room to summon your death rattles, and all of a sudden A-bomb is just getting bigger. Could be good. Continuing with the theme of there's not enough room, we give out buffs. Tier 5, 5/10, Catacomb Crasher Undead. Whenever you would summon a minion that doesn't fit in your warband, give your minions +1/+1 permanently. Very interesting. Once again, it plays into having too many death rattles is now a good thing. This could be good. It could be fun. It also could be just kind of meh. I'm gonna give it a try. I want to play some undead games. I'm a little excited about that, coupled with trinkets and seeing what we can do. Could be very interesting. All right, let's talk lesser trinkets. Let's start with the little ones, the turn 6 ones, and see what's going to happen and how they will affect all of our tokens we'll be summoning that we may or may not have room for. See what value we can get out of those. We are going to start with Windrunner's Necklace. This is 3 gold. Your leftmost minion has +8 attack in combat. Now, when I initially read this in a previous video with pirates, I was thinking Alakir's hero power. Your leftmost minion has this ability, and that's it. He there, in my mind ignored this part, was start of combat. This is your leftmost minion, as my chat in the comments have destroyed me and let me know quite clearly that it is always the leftmost minion. Even after the first one dies, the next one just picks it up. It's an aura effect, and thank you. I do appreciate that. My reading comprehension, sometimes she not there. For 3 gold, we have the Artisanal Urn. Your undead have +3 attack. Now, turn 6, you have a few undead. The other trinkets aren't very good. 3 attack's not bad for all the tokens and everything. It's not bad. I feel like there's a lot better, but it's not bad. It's just not good either. For 3 gold, the Ceremonial Sword. Whenever a friendly minion attacks, give it +4 attack. Well, we're gonna have a lot of minions. We're gonna have a lot of tokens. We're gonna be doing a lot of attacking. Not bad. Once again, not great either. Only works on the attack. I don't know. I don't love it. I feel like there are better ones. It's not, I'll take it, but I'm assuming I can find better ones in the shop. For 3 gold, we have the Feral Talisman. Your minions have +2/+1. This is another one that is good for just a minute. You get this at turn 6, feels great. Turn 9, it really has no impact on the game. It's there, it's good initially, and it quickly falls away. But remember, even though your lesser trinkets, you get a greater one, the lesser ones don't go away. So if you can get a better effect than this, I think you're better off, unless you're getting your trash completely kicked, in which case take the tempo. Otherwise, take something long-term scaling that's going to give you a better return on your investment. And then for 2 gold, we have the Twin Sky Lanterns. When you have space, summon a copy of the first minion you summon each combat. Now, obviously, if you can control what you're summoning, that's great. You don't know what it's going to be exactly when you're buying this, because it's going to depend what you find. There is some really good potential in this. You just have to build correctly, right? Like, don't take a taunt that summons things if your first minion that's going to be hitting and dying does summon something you want to get, in case they go first and kill the thing that you don't want to die, and it summons something out and then gives you garbage. So it's interesting. It has potential. For 2 gold, the Fishy Sticker. Start of combat, summon a Fish of N'Zoth that copies Death Rattle. Okay, I mean, that's pretty damn good if you are playing a bunch of undead things with Death Rattles. Typically, Fish is going to give you a good return. This is one of those cards that I mean, as opposed to, say, +3 attack or +2/+1. Those aren't permanent stats that matter in a meaningful way. They're tiny little bits of stats. Well, this is going to impact combat more dramatically if you have a bunch of death rattles. And a lot of other trinkets later, it just seems kind of meh, some of these. For 4 gold, Comfy Coffin. After you cast a tavern spell, your undead have +1 attack this game wherever they are. Now, undead do not generate spells, so you're gonna have to buy them out of the shop. But, I mean, there are a lot of cheap spells out there you could pick up here and there and add a few attack. There is definitely a place where this could be very good. I want to get some games in and play it out and see how it is, but I think this is one I find a lot of value for, because you're going to be buying spells anyways just to do what spells do, to discover minions, to give things taunt. And then if you're also gaining attack for just one spell, that's pretty good over the course of the game. So I do kind of like this one a lot for a lesser. For 3 gold, Staff of the Scourge. Avenge 5, give a friendly random minion reborn. How do I feel about that? It's not bad, it's not exciting. You're probably going to be giving a token reborn almost every time with the Avenge 5. But, I mean, it's free. It takes no space on your board. It's just going to passively kick on. If you buff your attack a lot, this is obviously good. I think this definitely has some potential. Obviously, we have to play some games, but at least compared to some of these trinkets, I like the long-term value of this potentially more. For 4 gold, the Eternal Portrait. Get an Eternal Knight. Start of combat, give your Eternal Knights taunt and reborn. Ooh, okay. I like this a lot if I already have an Eternal Knight. If I have one knight on the board, heaven forbid I already have a golden knight when this thing pops out. We're getting an extra knight. They're getting taunt and reborn. Slam dunk. Have I not played a single Eternal Knight the entire game? Are there none in the shop? Not so good. And remember, it's not going to give your Eternal Summoner Knights taunt or reborn, because it's start of combat, give your Eternal Knights taunt and reborn. So you're not going to get that when they get kicked out from the Summoner, but you will gain the scaling from the Knights having died in previous combat. So there's a conversation about whether this is good or not. But if you have even one Eternal Knight, it instantly is a lot better. All right, let's get into the greater trinkets, the good stuff. And some of this stuff is pretty damn good. So let's look at these and talk about it. We're going to start with, for 4 gold, the Windrunner's Necklace. Your leftmost minion has +20 attack in combat. Now, I don't typically like this very much. In Pirates, I did not like this at all. And that was with the caveat that it was just your leftmost minion at the start of combat. Now it is whatever your leftmost minion is, as we've had cleared up. With Undead having a lot of tokens, this can get a lot more value, I feel, than Pirates. Pirates, you have 7 minions. Maybe you have a death rattle. With some good hits, you could get lucky. But with Undead, the potential is much higher because there are so many tokens you can kick out. Now, the +20 attack value is not going to stick around for a long time. I'd much rather have something that's going to scale forever to give me value, unless I'm incredibly weak. But it's situational. Pick what works for you, not what you want. For 5 gold, we have the Artisanal Urn. Your undead have +7 attack. It's not bad. It is a 7 attack buff. It's permanent to all your undead wherever they are, so good. Stops at 7, depends where you are. If you're not offered anything better, you need immediate power, +7 attack to all your tokens immediately might keep you in the game, as opposed to something that might scale longer to win you the game. For 3 gold, we have the Feral Talisman. Your minions have +5, +3. I still don't really like this. I feel like this is kind of a trap unless you're incredibly weak again. It's just some stats. That's it. They're going to fade away pretty quick value-wise. You know, think about your average turn 12 undead board and give it +5, +3. Do you care? Not really. For 2 gold, we have the Horde Keychain. Your minions from tier 3 or lower have +6, +4. Well, let's look at it compared to Feral Talisman. It's only your lower tier minions. It's a 1 more +1. It's a +1/+1 more. All your tokens are going to be tier 3 or lower, so there's some value there, but it's still just a little bit of stats that I don't think are enough. Yeah, if you could summon 20 tokens and they're all getting +6, +4, that's significant. I still feel like there are better ways you could spend your gold for that win. At the same time, it is a nice set block of stats, and it will help carry you there if you're weak. For 2 gold, Twin Sky Lanterns. When you have space, summon 2 copies of the first minion you summoned each combat. Once again, that depends completely on what you are summoning in the combat. What other trinket you might have going. What minions you have taunted, versus which minion are going to be attacking first. There are going to be times where this is really good and other times where it is an utter trap. We'll have to wait and see. For 4 gold, the Fishy Sticker. Start of combat, summon a golden fish of N'Zoth that copies death rattles. Well, obviously, this is good if you have a lot of death rattles. I don't think this is going to be tough for undead players to want to take. It's just a question of what other greater trinkets are you offered. For 4 gold, we have the Bronze Timepiece. Start of combat, set each of your minions' attack and health to the higher of the 2. Do you have 80 attack and 2 health? They are now 80 minions. A lot better. Unfortunately, not all of your tokens get that. It's just your initial minions, but typically that's all you need to get you past things like Tunnel Blaster and whatnot that can screw with you. So I'm pretty content with this as an option. This is an interesting one. Obviously, I need to play some games. It depends how high your attack is or your health is, depending what you're playing. For 3 gold, the Reinforced Shield. Whenever you summon a minion, give it Divine Shield 4 times per combat. So the first 4 things you summon are gonna have Divine Shield. Pretty good depending how high your attack is. I like this. This has some potential. For 4 gold, we have the Comfy Coffin. After you cast a tavern spell, your undead have +2 attack this game wherever they are. Once again, undead not great at generating spells. They have nothing. But every time you cast a spell, and you will be casting spells here and there, especially if you have this, +2 attack to all of your tokens, that could be good depending what you're doing. It has potential. I want to play some games and see how I feel about it in the end, but I do like this one. For 3 gold, we have Mug of the Sire. Whenever you would summon a minion that doesn't fit in your warband, give your minions +4 attack. I mean, that's typically going to be a combat thing. It's +4 attack. Do I care that much? No. It's in, if it's in combat, it's a temporary buff. There's obviously lots of ways we can finagle things in the shop phase, but only 4 attack. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. It'd have to be some pretty bad trinkets for me to want to take this. For 3 gold, Butcher's Sickle. Get a butchering and a random undead with death rattle at the start of each turn. Keep this. This has a lot of potential. Are you missing attack? Look, you got a random tier, we'll just say 4 undead. Butcher it, +4 attack permanently to all your undead wherever they are. Next turn, just generate an extra minion and kill it again. I like this. Thematically, it's fun. It's just a cool spell you get to play over and over again. I think this has a lot of potential, and this one looks like a ton of fun. For 2 gold, Rivendare Portrait. Get a Titus Rivendare. Start of combat, give your Titus Rivendares stealth. Okay, I like this a lot. I mean, what's the problem with having Titus on your board? He gets sniped. He always seems to have invisible taunt. There's no taunt on him, but he gets hit the moment anything can hit him every single time. But with stealth, and if you buff him at all, probably going to be basically immortal sitting in your backline. This is huge. This is going to make undead boards a lot harder to deal with and have a lot more time to do what they want to do. And hey, that whole thing about giving permanent stats because there's not enough room to summon things on the board, your Titus is always going to be alive. So your death rattles are always going to summon extra minions, which means permanent stats flying around left and right. Disgusting. Love it. Cannot wait to play it. Cannot even imagine what it's going to be like to play against. That's it. That's the undead. That's all the stuff we have for today. Everything coming, going, changing, trinkets, all the good stuff. How do you feel? Are you excited? Let me know. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about these changes. Are undead now in a better place for you? I'm sad about some of the minions that left. I am thrilled about the greater trinkets. There's a lot of mediocre trinkets. Good ones are really interesting looking and really fun. I really want to play them. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a few things and I hope you had a good time. Catch you later.